And I left in 1994 because I saw it coming. Left a little early, but that's okay. Given the choice, if you live in California, you might search out other areas where you could get a job to move, because all high concentration centers are going to have problems, and especially if they have a high number of people who are ill-educated or illegal, and it's just the way it is. I mean, those are straight statistics.
Understood. And ladies and gentlemen, that's Bob Chapman for the first half hour. We'll be back in 3 minutes. It's a 3-minute break, ladies and gentlemen, to all the stations. Just 3 minutes. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is a Marines Disquisition live around the world on Wind Talkers Radio Network and off the internet with Blog Talk Radio. We have Mr. Bob Chapman, the international forecaster. That's the international forecaster. The 3 W's, theinternationalforecaster.com. His phone number is 800-375-4188, and he's got some interesting news and tidbits that you need to know about. I want you all to be paying attention. You know that silver's going up. Obviously, if silver's going up, gold is going up. And if gold and silver are going up, why aren't homes going up? Because there's an overabundance. Ladies and gentlemen, as a real estate broker, I see the fraud in the industry better than many of you. I walked away from it because I couldn't stomach the fraud and the constant raising of prices illegally. I want you all to know that we are trying to do our best to educate you, and Mr. Bob Chapman has a newsletter to educate you and get you the truth out there, know what's happening, and understand that there is coming collapse. And my first question this half hour to Mr. Chapman is, why is California doomed, Mr. Chapman?
Oh, I think it's excess population, lack of jobs, lack of education, lack of revenue. You can't have 1/3 of the state's population not paying taxes, and the taxes there are outrageous to start off with. But, I mean, what are they going to do, raise them? The state tax alone varies anywhere up to 15%. I mean, that's horrendous. I mean, you can go to Florida, you don't pay any. And so, you know, there's all these drains, these negative draws against California, and it's going to continue. It's not going to get better. And more people are going to lose their jobs. They admit that California's unemployment right now is 20%. That's official. Well, if you throw out the birth-death ratio, it's probably closer to 30. I haven't done the numbers on it, but I'll tell you one thing, it's at least 25. And that's terrible. I mean, during the Great Depression of the 1930s, unemployment was 25%. And they're trying to tell us we have a recovery? I mean, who do they think they're kidding?
Well, practically speaking, if anyone doesn't have a whole lot of money to defend themselves, are there any cheaper solutions out there?
Defend themselves in what way?
Well, defend themselves financially, taking care of their family, themselves.
Well, the most important thing is to get food in. You can always eat it. I mean, let's suppose nothing really bad happens and everything works out okay. If you buy things that you normally eat, well, you can eat them. I've eaten them. They're great. I mean, they got it in rations in the military. You all know what it tastes like. Dehydrated peas and beans and things like that. I mean, in the mess halls use them. And there's many bases that have lots of them. We've had it reported on this program. And so that's okay. There's nothing wrong with having a water filter for an emergency. And it's always nice to have something around to protect the family. And so those are very, very fundamental things. And they should be done if you can. If you happen to have extra money, well, you can buy silver coins and gold coins for as low as $200 or $300. And we can send you to people who will deal with that. and or you can at least compare prices, and so that's what you do.
All right. One of the chat room guests said, I missed the Money Money song, and believe it or not, Guy, the Money Money song was supposed to bring us back into the break, but for some reason there was a glitch at the studio in New Zealand that plays the music, and we apologize for the Money Money song not being playing. We'll play it at the end of the show, we promise. And that's on the light side. Back to the devaluation of the dollar. If there is a devaluation of the dollar, or most of the banks will collapse, how many banks do you see closing down this year, Mr. Chapman? Because there's already been in the neighborhood of 2, but nobody's talking about them.
Well, you also have to consider not only the banks that officially go out of business. I call it the FDIC, Friday Night Financial Follies. They announced it on Friday night so nobody will notice. They're terrible deception and subterfuge. But anyway, there are 2,055 real problem banks. Over the next 2 years, they all could go out of business. Over the next year, we could lose anywhere between 300 and 1,000. Nobody knows. If I had to guess, the second half of the year is going to be horrendous. And so if we get into, I think the figure right now is around 20 or 25. If we get into June and we've got, say, 125 or 140 like we had last year, all year, then you get an easy shot at 300 to 500. So there's going to be a lot of banks go under. And for those of you who have money and own CDs, get out of them. Because I think as we go along late this year and into next year, I think the FDIC may very well cease to be. And that's the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, which insures accounts. And if 500 banks went under, they would need $250 billion. And they have right now $92 billion, and that includes dues that were paid by banks for the next 3 years. So they have no income coming in. And they got a bunch of garbage there that they inherited from the banks that they closed down, and now what they want to do is force retirement and pension plans to buy that crap. That's what they're up to right now. And that's why government wants to give guaranteed annuities in exchange for retirement plans that are invested in stocks and bonds. And what extent they're going to go after that, I don't know, but it's in the planning stages right now. This is all not good news. The reason why they're doing it is they can't get anybody to buy their bonds. And the bonds of Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, Ginnie Mae, and FHA. And the reason for that is people think they're going to go bankrupt, and they probably are. And last year, the Federal Reserve, which has the ability to create money out of nothing, bought 80% of the bonds produced by the Treasury because others wouldn't buy them. And they had figures released today for February. Or was it January? I don't know. But the point is this. They said households bought a lot of those bonds. Households do not buy those bonds, I can assure you. The average woman doesn't get down and buy a Treasury note or bill or bond for $1,000 or $100,000. They don't keep that under the mattress, so to speak. And so it's just a big scam. They're lying, just like they lied last year, all year. And the Federal Reserve still will not tell us how much of the Treasury auctions they bought. I mean, they couldn't tell the truth if it jumped up and bit them on the nose.
Mr. Chairman, Meg Whitman is running for governor in California, and she's hired former Governor Pete Wilson. If you remember him, Arnold Schwarzenegger took his place in a special election. She has cited that Pete Wilson was one of the best governors the state has, and she's joining with Pete Wilson to champion a 1.25% increase in sales taxes across the board, which will result in $112 billion in higher taxes across California. Tax. Mr. Chairman, is this going to solve California's problem? Another tax will become the highest taxed people in the nation.